So recently I've been all over recollecting a bunch of old Nintendo games, and especially for the N64 and GameCube era. And I also got around to pulling my old Nintendo 64 out of storage and finally properly setting it up and giving it its own dedicated space in my home arcade, which is kind of an obsessive theme that, for those of you who follow this channel, will kind of see throughout when you look at the way I have things set up in this arcade. And so on top of having it finally set up, decided to bite the bullet and spend a bit of money and get some of the classic games that I really wanted to play on the N64 again. And in this video, I'm going to go over my recent haul. I also got kind of a wild card pick. It was just a game that I found on sale for the N64, and kind of go over each of them and kind of go over what I truly like about them and what I look forward to about them. So let's take a look. This recent haul of games wasn't just from used game stores like I've typically bought most of these games from, but I also looked to places like Facebook Marketplace, and purely that came down to pricing. A lot of used game stores charge significantly larger markups, and I'm not against it. There's an accessibility to that, and you can commonly find some of the games that you really want to play a lot easier at those stores. But I looked at Facebook Marketplace and was able to score a couple of these for what I believe to be good pricing. So the first game on this list, however, did come from a used game store, and the main reason I picked it up was purely and honestly, it was only $5. And I can't tell you I know a lot about WCW Mayhem, but I'm a fan of old school wrestling games. I've talked about them a handful of times on this channel now. And if this is anything like NWO versus WCW, this is probably going to be a good game. But again, I can't speak to it. I haven't actually popped it into my N64 yet. I just only took it out of the used game store wrapping prior to this video. So I do look forward to trying it out. I can't tell you I know a lot about it, however. Now, the next game on this list is a game I do know a lot about, and that's GoldenEye. So unfortunately, the copy I got, the quality of the sticker is definitely aged. This is definitely sat in someone's home for a long time. I picked this up for 25 bucks off of Marketplace, which was actually a pretty good price, as most used game stores were selling it for around $40 or $50. But I'm not going to go over GoldenEye as if people who are watching this have never heard of it. GoldenEye is one of the best first-person shooter games ever made, and for me was one of the large introductions I had to, a full 3D first-person shooter. Yes, I played games like Doom, but GoldenEye really took things to a different level at that time period. And yes, I realize now, if you look at the game, it's aged as well as you'd expect for an N64 game, but there's still so much charm to it. The level design for a lot of this game is still so well done. There's a boatload of nostalgia I have for this game, and one of the downsides to this being a early generation first-person shooter of this caliber was it was designed around the N64 controller, which even then wasn't the easiest to use. So it did take a bit of getting used to jumping back into this, but as it stands, this is to me one of the absolute best first-person shooting games ever made. And it's a game that when I pulled my N64 back out, I was like, I need to get a copy of this again. I need to get back into GoldenEye, because that was a game that I spent so many hours between the campaign and multiplayer that I just think it's such a great, phenomenal game for the N64. Now, the last game that I picked up was actually my favorite game ever made, and that's Zelda Ocarina of Time. So again, I found this on Facebook Marketplace, which oddly enough, there were a ton of reproductions going for around the same price, and I was lucky enough to find a pretty decent quality copy of it for about $20. So Zelda Ocarina of Time to me is, to this day, yes, the game has, it's aged as well as the N64, but it used the technology of the N64 so well, and I started playing it again, and it still blows me away how well crafted this game was for the N64. And even the level of story and scale that this game offered for that generation, to me, is just something special. Everything from the soundtrack, the storyline, even the graphics and the art direction that they used for this game was truly special. And to me, yes, this is infused with nostalgia, but Ocarina of Time is just a game that I don't believe you can do better than. I think everything about it for that time period was just absolutely perfect. It landed absolutely beautifully. And everything that I've been revisiting in it, things that I thought that I wouldn't like as much, and yes, I've revisited this game over the years. I beat it again when it came out on the 3DS and was kind of upgraded a bit. But things that I thought that might not have felt as good, like the combat or even the exploration, they still hold up so well. And as far as a Zelda game goes, and as far as world building goes for Zelda, this to me is truly one of the best games ever made. And this was on my list, my hit list of games that I had to get again. One of my biggest regrets was selling my pure gold copy that I had for my N64. And, you know, after the fact, realizing what a stupid mistake I made back then. And so I'm really happy to have a copy of it again and to be able to play it again on my Nintendo 64.